All right, so hello everyone. Oh, Zuriel, welcome. I love the red, it's so beautiful. You're welcome, ma.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Thank you. Good
hello
evening.
everyone. Good evening, ma. Thank you for joining us today for this important conversation. And like I said
Thank
before,
you for having me.
um, bringing on the recording, before starting the recording, I said your enemies even have to be on this call, so that they will stop disturbing you, So please, let's try to share with everyone so that we can have more people on the call. And I'm thrilled. Yeah, I'm so thrilled that we even had a number of people that joined before 8. I give you a beautiful double round of applause. Thank you so much for joining today. And then while we wait for others to come on board, we would just keep at it and introduce ourselves. So my name is Odraya Adegbaju. So I got a new name before we started this program from Oreoluwa Segun Awe. They gave me a new name, and my name is Blessing. So anyway, you see me, just add Blessing to my name. Okay, so I would also like to know where we are joining from. So you can use the chat box to just share with us where you are joining from. Yes, just tell us where you are joining from. I know a number of us, and I know where we are joining from, but just for every other person on the call to also know where we are joining from, you can just go ahead and do that. Yeah, so while we are at that as well, I just want us to go through our housekeeping rules. One of it is we can just mute our mic while the session is ongoing, and also use the chat box for questions and comments. So when we are done with the conversation, we will give you time to speak or possibly read through the questions from the chat box. Balikis, thank you for joining from Surulere. Surulere, thank you very much. Okay, so before I bring on board our guest speaker, I would want to quickly take us through an assessment. So just a quick one, just 10 questions, and then all you just need to do is to respond with a yes or a no. So at the end of the assessment, you just tell me using the chat box number of yeses that you have. I hope that is well taken. All right, so the first question is, do you have memories from your past? Or do certain memories from your past still feel fresh and painful as if they happened yesterday? So yes or no. Question 2, have you ever found yourself pushing people away, even the ones who genuinely care, because deep down you are afraid of getting hurt? Yes or no. Question 3, do you struggle to talk about or even think about certain past experiences because they bring a wave of emotions you rather avoid? Yes or no. Fourth question, do you sometimes react in ways you don't fully understand, only to realize you were triggered by something from your past? Yes or no. The fifth question, do you avoid certain conversations, places, or people because they remind you of something painful? Yes or no. The sixth question, do you keep yourself busy or distracted so you don't have to sit alone with your thoughts or feelings? Yes or no. The seventh question, have you ever felt like you are stuck in the same patterns, whether in relationships, self-doubt, or avoiding certain situations without knowing how to break free? Yes or no. Number 8, is it hard for you to fully trust or believe in good things as if deep down you are waiting for the other shoe to drop? Number 9, when people apologize to you, Do you still struggle to let go of the ought, even if you want to? Yes or no? Then the last question, do you find it hard to accept love, compliments, or good things happening to you if you don't deserve them? Yes or no? So we have gone through the 10 questions. How many yeses did you have with your question? I would like to see the yeses on the number of yes that you have on the chat box. I'm still waiting for our yeses. Okay, 8 yes. Fantastic. Thank you, Balikis, for sharing. All right, do we have another response? Okay, so while we are at it, let's just get started. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest speaker to us. We fondly call her Coach Zuzu. Our full name is actually Coach Zuriel Bukola Olubukola Olowe. That is our full name.
Oluwabukunola.
I'm sorry, ma. I take it back. I wanted to do shortcuts, but I got caught in the heart. So I will take it again. So, Coach Zuriel Oluwabukunola Olowe, also known as Coach Zuzu. I will call you Coach Zuzu because that's the interesting. The thing is always sweeting me, and she is recognized as the emotional healing and wholeness educator. It will interest you to know that she had a foundational background in law, and expanded to getting certified as a community mental health trainer. She's also an emotional intelligence specialist. She's a family life practitioner and a certified Christian faith-based counselor. She holds certification as a crisis intervention counselor and serves as a team building and bonding consultant. She leads the Own Your Essence Academy and is the principal consultant at Play Therapy World. Her commitment to emotional healing is further exemplified through her active presence on social media platforms, where she shares insights and resources. If your hands are not too busy, please indulge me by using the chat box to welcome our special guest to today's program. Yes, please, let's go ahead and do that to welcome our special guest to today's program. Thank you very much, Ma, for joining. Thank you for being part of today's program. Thank you, Ma. All right, so I will just get right into it. I will get right into it. And the first question I'm going to ask you, Ma, is what does it mean to have an unresolved past?
Okay. So thank you so much, Odonayo, for having me. I do not take this for granted. I'm so sorry we have had to do back and forth with time. In fact, if I tell you that I was almost not joining tonight at 8 p.m.
I would have come to meet you in the dream.
Myself. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to everyone who is here joining. I know it's not easy to basically spend your money on data and coming. So thank you. So what does it mean to be unresolved past? Like the word past. So meaning that something that happened maybe yesterday, your past. So it is It is 8010 now. So it means that 809 is your past. So when we get to 811, 810 will be your past, basically. So everything that has happened before this moment is your past. So when you say unresolved, unresolved simply means things you have not dealt with in the past. Events that happened that defined you as a person. Events that happened and labeled you as an individual. Events that altered your emotional stability. Events that altered your mental wholeness. Your emotional bliss. Events that altered your perspective, either to life, your perspective to yourself, how you see yourself, how you see a specific gender. So an example is a lady is dating a guy, and maybe the guy was her first boyfriend, and she gave her all to this guy. And eventually the guy left her and went to get married to someone else. Now, this happened, let's assume this happened in maybe 2001. And because of that singular event, she goes out and says, all men are scum. Now, she has dated only one man out of the billions and billions of men in the world. Or she comes out and says, oh, all Yoruba men are scum, or all Igbo men are scum, or all Hausa men are scum. She only dated one Yoruba guy. She only dated one Igbo guy. Even if she dated one Igbo guy from Anambra, or even from Inewi, it is just one guy from Inewi. So using that guy, that Inewi guy, or the Ile-Ife guy that you dated, to qualify every other man that is from that ethnic group is basically wrong. So her not dealing with her unresolved past is basically affecting her future today, and has made her, have this perception that all men are scum. So that's basically not dealing with your unresolved past. What happened yesterday, and you're using it to define your today, or you're basically going to use it to define your tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma.
So that's simply it.
Thank you very much for breaking that down for us. And that will bring me to the next question. So how would someone recognize if their past is affecting their present life? How?
Okay, so how would you recognize if your past is basically affecting your current, affecting you today? Is you want to check your patterns. Patterns never lie. In a specific emotional pain that you experienced in the past, how is it affecting how you're dealing with that same situation if the situation happens again? How is it you're dealing with the specific individual or group of people who are coming from that place? If your past has to do with you not being able to forgive, when you hear the word forgiveness, what does it do to you? If your past is not helping you to heal from a certain individual or a certain event, when that event happens or reoccurs in your life, how do you deal with it? What kind of anxiety disorder are you battling with? What kind of panic disorder are you battling with? So for you, how bitter have you become? How angry have you become? How frustrated have you become? I like giving practical examples when it comes to when I'm doing things like this. So let me give an example. I'm seeing that somebody's name is David here, and another person I can see Oluwakemi. So let us assume that in my secondary school, one Oluwakemi hurt me in secondary school. And from that moment, everybody that bears the name Oluwakemi, I cannot have them around me. They can't be my friend. Not because the Oluwakemi that is into my space is not pain that hurt me, but because an Oluwakemi has hurt me 15 years ago, cost me pain 20 years ago. I have used that Oluwakemi to define every Oluwakemi that's coming to my space. So even if an Oluwakemi is not coming to my space, The moment I hear the name Oluwakemi, what does it do to me emotionally? How does it affect my essence at that moment? How does it affect my mental stability at that moment? There are some names you would hear, and it would take you back to 15 years ago when an event happened. And it will give you the same intensity of pain that you experienced the day that event happened. So you want to use all these scaling, all these effects on you to know whether something that happened to you 2024, something that happened to you January, something that happened to you, 1st of March 2025, how is it affecting you emotionally? If you have to wake up in the middle of the night and you are panicking, if every time you're always going on a journey, or you're always going on always having flashback, and your flashback of that event is not giving you peace, rather it's giving you an emotional turmoil, rather it's distorting you, then you know that your past is basically affecting your future. It's affecting your present, and it will definitely affect your future, because not healing from that past it has already defined your present, and not willing to heal from it in your present moment would simply affect your future, basically.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ma. And what you just said now just made me realize that, especially we Africans, I'm speaking here I'm not generalizing now, but I know most African, especially in our generation, we grew up with that paranoid kind of attitude where maybe because of too much of African movie, African magic movie, we get programs such that you are suspecting the next person. So they bring something to your house, your parents will tell you, don't take it to forces from. So let me give you a practical example. So I grew up in Lagos, and I grew up with this, whatever happens in your family stays in your family. You must not go to the village. Oh. When you go to the village, there is one enemy from the father's side, enemy from the mother's side that is going to reshape your destiny, kind of. And somehow we kind of grew into, I am afraid of the next person. This next person might cause me harm. This next person. And I just want to ask you, are you sure it is the right programming, or it was taken out of context? Because I know that some of us are still in that place right now where it's still affecting us here and there. Can you still hear me, ma? I think she's frozen. Okay. Did you hear my question, ma? Hello, ma? Yeah. I think the network is, can you hear me, ma? Okay, so okay, let's see. Can you hear her? I'm struggling to hear from here. But can you hear me? Can we hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can hear you.
Right. Okay. I wanted to be sure that you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so while we wait for her to come on board, the question I wanted to ask her, it's about the signs and behavior that indicates that we have unresolved trauma or emotional wounds. A lot of us, while we wait for her to come on, a lot of us have emotional wounds, most of which we are not even aware. The last time we had this session, we looked at resolving emotional baggage, and we kind of have a lot of inner child wounds, maybe from our mother, maybe from our father, maybe from our caregivers. So I'm going to give you a practical example. Okay, I think she's here. I'll give you a practical example. So for me, I felt growing up, I was not totally heard, I was not seen, and I was not valued as much as I should, you know, based on first and foremost the level of information that my parents had access to and what they felt was the right thing to do. So my mom's birthday was sometimes this month, and I was trying to put a message across to her. And it dawned on me that I was struggling to say I love you to my mom, you know? And I just had to catch myself to say, oh, what is this? I had to go back down memory lane to just reprocess my childhood experiences with her. And I had to come out of it to say, no, it's in the past. And it is what it is. You know, she did what she had to do based on what she knew as at that point in time. And I had to intentionally let go and heal. Now, it's easy for me to do because of the information that I have right now to know that, oh, welcome back, Ma.
Thank you.
All right. So I don't know, were you able to get the question?
No, I didn't get your question.
Okay, so yeah, so I think I was talking about most African. I don't know of this generation, but I know at the point where we were growing up, our parents kind of scripted us to be paranoid. You know, so you then I'm speaking based on the African magic movies that we have watched, you know, where it's scripted such that, oh, there is can it come from the father's house, something from the father's house, something. So I grew up in Lagos, and my father did never let us go to the village because he felt that there were some powers in that village that if they should see me or they should see any of my siblings, then we are done for. My mom also did that. We were not close to any of our cousins. Interestingly, one of my cousins is here. We got to meet in the university. And all of a sudden, we are all grown now. And she wants me to show up in family functions. And I'm like, why? We were never close to these people back then. And all of a sudden, you're just changing the narrative. So I'm trying to ask, Ma, that are there signs of behaviors that have been scripted? And you know one thing about this script, you would pass it on consciously or unconsciously. And I'll give another example of African parents. If your child comes to meet you, typically to say, Mommy, where should I put this thing? You will tell her, put it on my head. We picked it up. So we are passing it on. So I don't know if you want to take it up from here, ma'am.
Okay, so are there things that some parents have experienced that has made them to become paranoid? The answer is yes. Have parents gone through events that basically altered their own destiny?
Come inside soon. Yes, Nelly, did you cut?
Okay, please go on, ma'am.
The answer is yes. So you will not blame a parent who has gone through events in their life while they're growing up and they try to protect their children. Now, they are doing it from the place of love. They may not have done it properly, but you would also not take away their experience from them. I know someone whose father was buried alive in the village while he was growing up. Now, they ganged up against his father, and the judgment that was passed by the chief was to bury the man alive. And he was a young boy. And immediately they buried the father alive, they excommunicated his mom and her children from the village. Now, this person is grown, doing extremely well, a very wealthy person. So tell me, do you think such a person will go back to the village?
No.
No. Even though if everyone, almost everyone, who did that to the father are all dead. But he won't go back to the village because the village reminds him of what they did to his parents. I'll give you another example. A woman who got married, and because she had just female children, the family members said, okay, the husband has to marry another wife. The husband married another wife because we're looking for male children. Now, the other wife came in and started giving birth to male children. Before they knew what was happening, I am saying real life stories. I am not saying what I heard. These are stories that I know. Before they knew what was happening, our first daughter died. Second daughter died. Third daughter died. She was left with two daughters, and she ran away from the village with two daughters. Those two daughters are doing extremely well. Now, it took a very long time before they realized that the three boys the second wife had, were not the man's children. She basically slept with other men outside and had those children. Would you expect those two daughters to go back to the village? The answer is no. They would not go back. In fact, they would not want to have anything to do with their father's family members. So for every family, there is a story. And people, we need to, as children of that family, we need to understand what the stories are. Fortunately, I grew up in a home where Africa magic was not allowed. We didn't watch Africa magic as a growing child. And if you started watching African magic, I would say personally, I started watching African magic maybe after the university. But every child born in the home was not allowed to watch African magic. So there was a different mindset in my own home where I grew up from. Yes, were there people that they would say to you, definitely, so you go to parties, you go for a family function, they would have warned you from the house. You see so person, you see so person, don't go near them. They must not touch you on the head. But there's always a story. And we don't know what our parents went through. There's a proverb that says that when an elder is seated on the chair, what an elder sees sitting on the chair, if a child stands on an iroko tree, the child will not see it. So we need to know why. But are they paranoid? A lot of them are paranoid for a good reason. But is it healthy for them? It is not healthy for them. Has it caused them pain? Yes, it has caused a lot of parents pain. Absolutely pain. And this is where the children right now, who have now become adults, who have now become parents, must be things differently and separately. Differently and separately. Know why. You as an individual, you must know that it is not everywhere your child must eat. It's not everybody that gives your child food, your child must eat food from them. No. So every parent parents in fear. A parent that does not parent in fear, most likely you're not the one that gave birth to that child. Every good parent parents in fear. The fear of the unknown for the child. The fear of the unknown for you as a parent. January 25th, I lost a friend who was just 44 years old. So the wife will be in her early 40s too. He has two children, a boy and a girl. They are both preteens. And while he was alive, I know how he was very close to the children. Extremely close. In fact, the things he does with and for the children, the mom cannot do them. So when I heard the past, the first thing that went across my mind was, hey, these children, will their mother be able to cope? Because I know how involved he was in the life of the children. I was with their mom sometime last week, and one of the sons, even though they're not resident in Nigeria, called the mom and was wailing. He was wailing from sleep. So, of course, I knew that was trauma. So when it comes to parents and being paranoid and having trauma. A lot of our parents went through trauma. They've not healed from that trauma. They are still battling with that trauma. So a lot of things they did it with the best of what they knew at that point in time. A lot of our parents, if they know what a lot of us know today, they would have done better. So because of what they knew at that time, because of the capacity of what they had at that time, and the knowledge of what they had at that time, and the awareness of what they had at that time, so they acted that way. Now, a parent now, you will take responsibility for your own self. You will take responsibility for your own child or children. The way your own parents took responsibility of you by protecting you from whatever spiritual and whatever that they feel was happening there. You cannot blame your parents for the things they did in their capacity if you are not willing to help yourself heal and help yourself become better, become wholesome, where you're able to own your essence. You can't blame your parents for it. So basically, it's everybody taking responsibility for their emotional well-being, mental harmony, and your own essence. Thank you.
Wow. Big. That's fire. I expect to see 1 million fire emoji in the chat box already. Thank you very, very much, Ma. And one of the things that stood out for me in what you said is the passing of trauma. Hey, so the truth is most of our parents passed trauma to us.
Absolutely.
And we are still dealing with it. And that is why we
Absolutely.
have a lot of wounded adults right now.
Absolutely.
And they are just inflicting more wound on their children.
Absolutely.
So we have the inner child wound, mother wound, father wound, different kind of wounds. So I would want you to speak about the wounds for those of us here that don't even know what the wounds look like, so that we can relate to what it looks like, and more importantly, make sure that we don't pass on the trauma. We have so much information. That is why we are here right now, to learn not to repeat the same mistakes our parents made, to say, oh, they have passed this trauma to me. I need to resolve it and heal. How do I now make sure that the healed version of me does not also pass on the trauma to the next generation?
Okay, so a healed version of you is that version that has become a better person. Is that version that has become aware that I was broken and I need to work on myself, and I've stripped myself of my pain. That's the healed version of you. So the healed version of you will not harbor unforgiveness. The healed version of you will not harbor bitterness. The healed version of you will not harbor frustration, anger, shame, and every other thing. An unhealed version of you will harbor unforgiveness, would harbor shame, would harbor, bitterness, would harbor frustration, would harbor panic disorder, anxiety disorder, sometimes also harbor bipolar. Now, that unhealed version of you will emit your pain onto the people around you. And unfortunately, the very first set of people who would soak in this your pain are your close family members, your immediate family members. Maybe your husband, maybe your wife, your children, the people around you. Now, this is what I say to people. Some individuals are so angry with their parents, with their mom, with their dad, and that has held them down. There's what we call transgenerational trauma, passing trauma onto one generation or to another generation, and also transgenerational patterns, passing an unhealthy pattern from one generation to another generation. What some people are not aware of is the trauma your parents passed on to you most likely was passed on to them by their own parents. So let me say this story. A lady got married to her husband, and
The network. So let's just hold on for her. Okay, so while we're waiting for her to come back, if you have questions, please, you can just either raise your hand or you can just use the chat box to send in your questions. Okay, can you hear me, ma?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. I think it froze for a while.
You can. Let me see if I.
Okay, I think the network is doing one. Let's use the Yoruba. The network is doing one. We have to call that network forth to hear the word of the Lord. Okay, so while we wait for her to come back, like I said, do we have questions? Do we have questions? Are we getting value? Are we excited to be here? Let me just I hope you can hear me. That's the first thing. Because it looks like everybody has slept. Oh. They say, Jimason, wake up. All right, so Mr. Sheriff, you can hear me. Okay. Mr. Sheriff, are you just hearing me, giving me thumbs up, or you have question?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So while we wait for her to come back, I think I just want somebody to say something while we wait for her to come back. Okay, I think she's almost here. Let's see. Okay.
So I'm trying to come in another device.
Okay.
Let me see. You see another device, just put me on. So I'm trying. Okay, so like I was saying, parents have gone through. So this lady, well, the person she got married to, they didn't cohabit. So it wasn't as if they lived as a boyfriend and girlfriend for her to know. Sorry, for her to know. For the guy to know what she was doing, or for her to know what she was doing with the guy. So, but the very first, after they got married, sorry, something is happening here. When they got married, when they got married, the very first she made a meal for the guy. So she fried fish for the guy, and the guy noticed that there was the tail of the fish was not there. But he didn't take notice of it. He just thought maybe something. So the second time she fried fish, she now asked the guy, why is the tail? The guy now asked her, why is the tail of the fish? She now said, tail of the fish. She does not understand. They don't eat tail of the fish in their house. She now said, no, in our own, the guy now said, no, in our own house, we eat fish. She now said, no, it's a taboo for them to eat tail of fish in their house. And that started bringing problems. She said, well, she grew up in a home where they don't eat the tail of the fish. The guy now said, okay, let them go to their house and go and find out why they don't eat the tail of the fish. They went to her mom. Her mom told her, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me come out from this one and log in with this one. Hopefully this one will be.
Okay.
Apologies, everyone. I don't know what's happening. So the mom told her that she herself does not know that she also grew up like that, seeing that they don't fry fish, they don't eat the tail of the fish at home. So the mom said, okay, let her call her own mom. Luckily, the grandma was still alive. So let her call her own mom and find out. That's how she called, the mother called her own mom and said, Grandma, why is it that we don't eat the tail of the fish? What's the taboo behind it? And the mother said, no, that there's no taboo behind it. Now, the thing is that for them, for her, while they were growing up, the fry pan they had was a small fry pan. That they didn't have a very big fry pan. It was a small fry pan. So what she was doing was she was cutting the tail of
Yeah, I think our network is. Okay, so while we wait for her to come back, I just want us to.
she was cutting the tail of the fish in tiny bits, and the tail of the fish was inside the fry pan, what they were cooking. That she was not throwing away the tail of the fish. And that was what settled it. So what was passed on as taboo, that questions was not asked, was passed on to a daughter. So if the husband did not ask, or if the husband wasn't bothered about the tail of the fish, the mother will also pass it on to the daughter, believing that that was how it was meant. So you find out that transgenerational trauma is passed either consciously or unconsciously from a parent to their child. But this is what I always say. Healing without forgiveness. Healing does not come when there's no forgiveness. So it's basically a first step. There's forgiveness and there's healing. A lot of us need to forgive our parents. Some adults are so bitter with their parents that they are angry, even though some people, their parents are dead. Either the mom is dead or the dad is dead, but they are still holding the bitterness, the pain of the thing. Yes, your emotion is valid. No one is saying your emotions are not valid. Your emotions are basically valid. However, for how long do you want to keep holding yourself in a cage, in a place, tying yourself down, causing more harm and hurt to yourself for something that most likely that person did ignorantly? So this is the catch. It is not the responsibility of the person who hurts you to make you heal. It's not the responsibility of the person who hurts you to make you heal. It's not the responsibility of that person. It is your responsibility to make sure you heal well and you heal awesomely well. Anyone can cause you pain. Anyone on the face of the earth. Especially someone who is not intentional about you. Someone who does not understand what your essence is. Someone who feels that he or she has a right to cause you pain. Someone who most likely is also hurting and is projecting his or her pain outside. You may be the individual that is at the point of that person to taking this pain. So it's not the responsibility of the person who caused you pain to make sure you heal. It is your own responsibility to make sure you heal and heal awesomely well. An individual would cause you pain and they may not apologize to you. Apology is a different thing entirely. So when people make sure that when people apologizes to you when they cause you pain and they hurt you again, so tell me, do you think that you don't want to heal? Apology is a sign. Genuine apology, one, starts with the fact that I have realized what I did and I know what I did is wrong. Two, I am remorseful of what I did because I have assessed what I did and I've seen that I have erred in what I did. Three, I put so much value on you and I've realized that I cannot hurt you because as I can't hurt you because I see myself in you and I see you in myself. So hurting you is also hurting myself. Four, I have chosen to take the bold my wrong that I have done by apologizing to you. Now, the fifth one, which is I have apologized. I would not commit the offense or I would not hurt you again from the things I have apologized for. So those are the steps of apologies that one is meant to get from a genuine individual who has realized that he or she has hurt you. However, an individual may not see himself or herself bound to make any of these commitments to you. There are people who would hurt you and they would move away. So I say to people that forgiveness is you releasing yourself from prison, thinking that you have released someone who has hurt you from prison. No, it is you are releasing. It is yourself you are releasing. So there are people who have caused us pain 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They are not in our space anymore. In fact, you have not seen them in the last 10 years that they have caused you pain. However, they have an influence over your emotional wellness. They have an influence over your emotional well-being because you have chosen to carry them over the years, year in, year out. When you think of them, if you are laughing, if you are playing, they dictate your emotional your emotional response. So you move from a place of response to a place of reaction. You move from a place of wholeness to a place of bitterness in a space of 2 seconds or 2 minutes when you remember them. You hear somebody called Zuriel, but because Zuriel hurt you 10 years ago, you see another Zuriel that has nothing to do with you. You transfer the Zuriel who caused you pain 10 years ago, the pain, the hurt that this Zuriel caused, you transfer it on this Zuriel. So when it comes to parents, I say to people, you need to forgive your parents. You need to take that journey. Some parents may not deserve your forgiveness, but for your own sake and for the generation that you have brought into this world, so that you can become a new ancestor to your own children. You would not continue in the pattern of a toxic and bitter ancestor that your parents passed on to you. You become a wholesome and enhancing, empowered ancestor to your own children. Thank you.
My goodness. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing. And I also think I want to add my own personal experience. So the experience is with my clients right now. So I have a client that got stuck. That's the word. Got stuck for like 8 years. And the simple reason why the person got stuck is just what you just mentioned now. So for 7 years, the clients felt, oh, my dad, my mom, they did not do well. They did so many stories. And we started with the assessment. I realized that the attachment style was disorganized, blah, blah, blah. We got talking, and we did series of coaching here and there, and got to the point where, oh, you need to go back to your roots to find out, oh, okay. So my clients went, had a crucial conversation with the people, definitely the parents, and I can tell you proudly that in short, the person got a job 3 months after, and that job was backdated to that same day when that conversation happened. That is how strong, how strong releasing, for that 7, 8 years, the person was just stuck, moving around a circle, would not pull through with the smallest of things. So just to buttress the fact that resentment, bitterness, all of those things, you are letting go for yourself. Like you also mentioned, some of these people are even dead. And the ones that are alive, they did it based on what they think they knew. They did it out of love. It was good intention. Somehow, that was their definition. And it has
if they knew better, they would have done better.
Yes.
If they knew better, they would have done better.
Yes. So we have the inner child wound, the mother wound that shows up as people having low self-esteem. We have people that are now adults that are people pleaser because, the wound is just still biting them so hard. and they just need to make sure that they don't transfer it. So I will just give you the opportunity. So
let me talk about the inner child wound. Let me talk about the inner child wound. So the inner child wound is basically the trauma that a child went through at a specific age in their life, and emotionally they got stuck at that age. Now, what happened to that individual is you grew up physically, you grew up in age, you grew up in height, you grew up maybe in career and every other thing. However, the 7-year-old that was sexually abused, the 7-year-old that was emotionally abused, the 7-year-old that lost a parent at that age, and they had to take that child to one uncle, to one auntie, who treated the child like a slave, who used the child to train our own children, emotionally did not grow from that age. So what the adult body is basically carrying all these years, the adult body is carrying an emotionally damaged 7-year-old child. So that is why sometimes when you see some certain adults acting out, when they are throwing tantrums, when their pain is emitting, when their trauma is emitting, you are wondering why this person is not acting his age or her age. Because trauma will numb you. Trauma numbs the brain. And when trauma numbs you, you get stuck from your brain, which channels messages, which channels sensory to all other parts of your body, down to you. Now, there is a place your trauma also hits very much, hits the most, and is your heart. And this is how pain, this is how trauma basically happens. So let me give an example. Something happens to someone, your body receives the message. When your body receives the message, your body interprets the message in a different way. Now, because your body has interpreted the message in a different way, your body sends the message into your inner being. Your inner being also receives the message that your body has sent into it, understanding its trauma. And what it does, it helps you expand the pain and give it its own kind of definition, which can become more damaging, more painful, more traumatic than what your body basically has assimilated. Now, your mind now passes that same message out back to your body. So sometimes you see people looking very amazing, very beautiful, very good. People have mastered the art of wearing a mask to cover their pain. But when they act out, you are imagining, is it the same person? That is why you see some people, when they're in the midst of people, they are happy, they're excited. But once they are alone, they begin to cry. Because at that moment, their pain comes out from their inner being, stands in front of them, and they are staring at their pain. Some people, because they have been numbed by trauma, they cannot look at the mirror. Because when they look at a mirror, they are not seeing themselves. What they are seeing is the pain that is basically emitting out. So for everyone who is basically battling with childhood trauma and childhood battles, you need to understand that what has happened to you is that you got stuck at a certain age. You need to heal so that 7-year-old would need to grow and be of the same age that you are presently, emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, and even maybe spiritually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah, so just to add to, I know that Fashipe Olajumoke raised her hand, and I don't know if she still wants to say something. But before she comes on, take care, ma'am. I just want us to know that trauma is held in our body, and I'll give us areas just for you to watch out for. So if you have frequent shoulder pain, it's trauma stored up there. Yeah. It could be, don't let me say it is, it could be trauma stored
It
up
could be.
there.
It could be
Yes.
trauma.
Yes. If you have chronic headache, migraines, or tension in your forehead, it could be trauma. If you have difficulty breathing, you have tight chests, it could be trauma. If you have digestive issues, bloating, not in the stomach, it could be trauma. If you have,
Memory loss.
yes,
Memory loss.
yes, restlessness, you have heaviness in your legs, you have hip tightness, discomfort, or lack of flexibility, it could be trauma. Oh yeah, so Olajumoke, over to you. Let's take your question.
Yes, ma. Good evening, ma.
Good
Thank
evening.
you to our host. This is a very wonderful session. I say thank you to you, ma.
Thank
And
you.
I also extend greetings to our very own wellness educator and emotional healing practitioner, Madam
Thank you.
Zure Odowe. You did
Thank you.
very well. I would like to
Thank you.
add a question to every other thing that I've learned here tonight. So I want to ask that, how do you cope if you are at the receiving end of an unresolved past from maybe at your workplace? If you are the receiving end of maybe your boss had an unresolved past with previous bosses, those people that she has worked with in the past, and those things are still affecting her behavior, his or her behavior till date. But fortunately, you find yourself as one of his or her team member or staff at the workplace. So how do you cope? You know, at times when the effects of this unresolved past begin to manifest, you feel somehow. So I would like you to please help us enlighten me, and thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Olajumoke. If you look at my chest, I have a t-shirt that says emotional bliss wholeness. So you said this thing that you just said, I'm going to use myself as a practical example. The very first law firm I worked with someone who my principal, as we used to call, lawyers used to call their boss, principal. My principal was a very, very amazing man, very, very amazing man, extremely amazing man, amazing man. However, he was eccentric. He was very, very eccentric. So I became the head of department for family law. So which meant that as the head of department, every Monday for management meeting, I have to be part of the meeting for management meeting. Every Monday. I was coming out to cry. I mean, I was coming out to cry because this man will insult me from head to toe. He will insult me. Now, my team members were not there. I was the one that was there, so I was taking the fall for my team members. Now, the fall I was taking for my team members was not as a result that I was not doing my job. It was as a result that some of the team members, I became the head of the department over. I met them in that department. So all they needed to do was to frustrate my work. So I give them tasks. They don't get to do the task. We come back home. I'm asking someone. I'm asking someone that is older than me about a task that he or she is supposed to do. The person does not get to do it. And because I am respecting them, in law, there is seniority at the bar. I will collect the case file. I will do it myself. So at a point, I was just having case files on my table. I could not meet up, but I was getting the insult. So every Monday I come out and I enter the office, I will have to pass my team members' office, the open office where my own team members are, into my own office. And by the time I'm entering, water is coming, dripping out of my eyes are red. I'm going into my office to cry. I will hear some of them giggling. In fact, there was a time I heard one of them said, Shebi, they made that team head. Hey, let her come and be team head. We will frustrate her. Honestly, at that point, I almost turned in my resignation. At that point, I almost turned in my resignation. But somehow, I remember one time we went for a management meeting. And as I sat down and my principal asked for my reports, immediately I gave my, because you will hear each department's report before it descends on you. Immediately I gave him my report. I just started singing in my mind. Immediately I read my report finish and I dropped my report. I started singing in my mind. From when this man started talking till when he finished, I didn't hear one word I did not hear. So whether he called me an idiot, whether he called me stupid, I did not hear because I practically shut down in that meeting. I just heard somebody tapping me and saying, Zuriel, a guy is talking to you. When he now looked at me, you know what my boss said? He said, you are not crying. I said, yes, sir, I'm not crying. And the next thing I heard, this Ekiti girl has become very hardened. And I laughed. That was the last time I cried in that meeting because I just created a technique for myself. My boss will act the way he wants to act. I am not responsible for his actions. I am only responsible for my own actions and what I choose to hear, how I choose to receive what he has said to me, how I choose to allow what he has said to me to define me. That is when I'm responsible for my actions. I know it is not easy when your boss is passing, they are basically shredding you and embarrassing you in front of your other colleagues, or maybe sometimes junior staff. I know it's not easy. But if you still want the job, if you're still interested in the job, and you're not ready to leave the job, except you have other options. But honestly, even if you have other options, where you are going to, are you sure it's not going to be the same thing? Except you have other options. But if that is the place you want to stay, remember that you are not the one that caused our pain. You did not cause your boss's pain. You are not the reason for her trauma. She's only emitting out her trauma and her pain. And you are liable and responsible to your own emotional response. You can choose to react to her pain by soaking it in and allowing it to define your day and your emotions. Or you can choose to respond to it and pity her and say to yourself silently, hey, this woman battery is on high work today. I pity who did this for this woman. I pity that person. I honestly pray for this woman. This woman finds healing. Because when you begin to have empathy for her, you would find out that it becomes easy for you to deal with her. And it also becomes easy for you to not soak in her pain. And like I said earlier on, except you have another option. But if you don't have another option, you need to create an enhancing coping mechanism for yourself. So because you also want to be very careful, you are talking about your boss today. So that when you become a boss, you don't begin to act like your boss. And this is where you want to preserve and protect your own emotional well-being, your own emotional stability. Because you will think, what my boss is doing, I will never do it to my own subordinate. When I become a boss, I'll never do it. You just find out that you just become a boss and your downlines are also afraid of you. But when you understand that this is you didn't cause her pain. You are not the one that hurt her. You are not her husband that caused her pain. You are not a former boss that frustrated her. You have empathy on her and you will deal with yourself wisely and much better. My own coping mechanism then was to sing. So let me wrap this up by saying this. So there was a time my team members, so by the time I went back to the office that day, and my team members saw that I did not cry, shock hooked them. They were scared. In fact, when I entered the office, I called for a meeting that day. And I said to every one of them, including the ones that are older than me, and I said to them, if I assign a case note to you, if I assign a work to you, whether to do a response to to an affidavit to do anything and you don't do it, you're getting a query from me. They thought I was joking. Before the end of that day, somebody got a query. Before the end of that day, someone got a query from me. And I was the same one the day they messed up in the office and they wanted to suspend two of my team members. I took the fall for it and I went on suspension for it. And my boss was saying, Zuriel, you are not the one. Who are the people that did this? Because we lost a case we were not meant to lose. No, we didn't lose the case. Our case was dismissed. No, our case was struck out. Sorry, not dismissed. Our case was struck out. A case that was not meant to be struck out was struck out, meaning that we have to go back to court and release the case. And we have to spend money to release that case. And my boss said, who was meant to do it? I didn't give my boss the name. And he said, Zuria will go on suspension. I said, I'll go on suspension. And I went on suspension for 2 weeks. That 2 weeks that I went on suspension, every day my team members were, at least one of them will come to the house and beg me. One of them will come to the house and appeal. One of them, they were coming to till I came back to the office. And it was a suspension without pay. That 2 weeks was removed from my salary. But within that, whatever was removed from my salary, my team members gave it back to me in double. And I collected it because it wasn't me that was supposed to go on suspension. I collected the money well, because I took the fall for 2 other people in the department. So you also need to know what is your own coping skill is, so that you're able to preserve yourself and protect your own emotional wholeness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so because of our time, do we have one more person that wants to ask any question? Because in the absence of any question, we will just be calling it a night. So let's see, do we have anyone amongst us? Okay, I don't think I have anybody here that has a question. All right, so thank you very, very much, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I like
Thank you.
the workplace angle that you put to it. In short, I don't think there's anybody here that would have not had a story with his or her boss at one point or the other. At one point or the other, you know, because we have a lot of adults that are wounded, sincerely. So they will just keep inflicting the wounds. And the best thing you can do is just cope. If you don't cope, you will get into trouble. You will just start crying and crying and crying every day. So I've had a boss like that, and just the same way you prescribed was what I did. Every time she just started like this, in short, I would go on my knees and say, Emma Binuma. She would say, hey, she would just be doing Emma Binuma, Emma Binuma. I say, Emma Binuma. I would just continue shouting Emma Binuma, you know? And it got to a point, in short, the thing was paining her more, that everything she tried to just get, I was just doing Emma Binuma. She would set people in her office to just make sure the same people she set up, I will tell them, oh yeah, prostrate, oh yeah, let's beg our mama or Emma Binoma, you know. So I pray that God will help us every step of the way. And part of why we are doing this awareness or creating this awareness is for you to know, identify the signs, share the lights, make the world a better place. A healed you is a huge space. I mean, there is a particular way I used to put it, but I'm not getting it right now. A better you is a better children, a better husband, a better workplace. Just keep sharing the light, and eventually we'll keep getting better. Thank you very much, Ma. Please, if you feel the need to also reach out to me at any point based on what we have discussed so far, please just feel free to reach out to me. We can get to talk. There's free clarity sessions where, okay, we can discuss this, and if there's a need for an assessment and all of that, we can get to also do that. Coach Zuriel, I love you, you know. Thank you very much for coming to make the world a better.
Sorry, I need to leave. I have a suicidal case I'm handling right now. I need to leave. Sorry.
It's all right. Thank you very much. It's okay. So thank you for joining. So everyone on the call, so thank you so much for joining. Adetola, I can see you. I can see you koro with my koro eyes. So Olori Adegbaju, Mr. Sheriff, Sharon John, Lawal, Vivian, Olajumoke, Balikis, all of you, I love you all. We'll see you at the other side. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.